then we'll maybe go back to that. Alright, so top tier, 1 of 3, big arty. So a lot of this depends on what your team does. 704 does a really good job of basically lying in wait and then, you know, pushing forward just a little bit to get a shot and then smacking somebody in the face and then lying in wait again. So you can go either way. You can play on this side. If you do play on this side, I recommend playing in this area right here. There's a hill right there that you can basically hide behind, and then when your people light things or whatever, you can just roll up. There's some trees there as well, not really very much bush cover. Otherwise, you can come over here to this, to this side over here. Either one works out pretty well. A lot of it depends on where your team goes though. So in a game like this, like I would keep an eye on like where your T-54 goes and move someplace where you can support him ideally. Your T-54 is headed east. He's got not that much going with him. So the problem, again, with going out here where you're going is that these guys may or may not get you any lights. And if they don't, right, because they're all lower tiers, if they don't actually get you lights, then it's more difficult for you to do your job. So your T-54 has the T-69 Tiger II IS-3 T-28 Proto with him. So you have your Comet pushing down there, which is good for you. You should look a little bit higher up on this hill right now. The Comet's going on the inside. He's going to that hill over here, so I wouldn't worry about too much about him quite yet. Like I would see if you can get shots on the guys that your Comet is lighting. He's in a little bit of a precarious position on that cross right there, because if he backs up too much, then the... Oh no, sorry, I thought he was someplace else. You don't have anybody in the middle, so theoretically they can shoot him in the middle. You want to get this guy. See how this IS-3 is pushing out towards your Comet a bit? You want to be in a position to shoot that guy. You can only shoot high right now. See where that tree came down? If they come down, like, yeah, over here, you don't have shots on that. They're starting to push in on your guy over here. So your Comet is bleeding right now, but you don't have a shot on anything that he spots. Right, so that guy wasted 100% of his health, and your team got 0 shots out of that.
It's a trap!
And so this is a precarious position to poke into. So you want to be careful, especially with that T-30 on that house right there. And there is a big artillery, so you're risking it every time you come up here.
It's a trap!
And you're sitting there a little bit too long. You guys are pretty much just arty bait. At this point, it's probably best, if you want to, you can push down like where this... See how your IS-2 is going up underneath now?
It's a trap!
There's a Tiger P coming around this outside over here. Cairnvern is on the one line. You can shoot him. So there's a lot of guys that you can shoot right now. You're just not in a position to do it. He'll relight. They're gonna push on your guys down here. The T-30 has driven all the way across. Yep. Just push forward and get him. He's not even looking at you. There you go. And then pull back. They have a lot of their team here. You need to be doing some work. Especially while your team is bleeding. You need to be taking these guys out.
It's a trap!
No, shoot the T-30! The T-30 could have potentially killed your guy down low. You still need to protect yourself from artillery. For some reason, their artillery shot at the T-29 instead of you. They're still weak. They're weak on this side now, on the left. There you go.
It's a trap!
So if you go a little bit more on this side, right, this wall that's right there will protect you from the zero line hill.
It's a trap!
Oh, they got somebody coming down the middle there. They're starting to dive over here, so it's actually best for you to fall all the way back. Like, you can push this type if you want. You don't want to stay here right now, because you've got a low shot, a slow gun, a long reload on your gun.
It's a
even though you have high alpha. So that's not what you want. You don't want to fight multiple tanks in that situation. But you do have a relatively fast tank, so you can literally just turn around and leave, right? And put yourself into a better position. They might not have anybody else in this middle area here, so you can back down into this hill, like down a little bit, and that'll protect you from these sides. The tree just fell down to the left, so that's something you have to keep an eye on. Yeah, really felt like you could have pulled back there much earlier than you did. You took a lot of risky shots sitting up here, which is not so good. You were way too conservative in the beginning. When your Comet had those guys lit, you got 0 shots. You know, so it was feast or famine. You were either being way too risky or way too conservative there, which is certainly a problem. And unfortunately, your team on this other side was just really passive, which is always the bane of pub matches.
Hydraulics are down. We have to hand crank the turret.
Oh my god, make your shots count. Yeah, I mean, even after all of that, you guys were still, it was still a pretty close game. Unfortunately, your artillery got killed as well, which is not good. And this T-54, man, what's this guy doing? And you can cry and chat all you want, but that's not going to make these guys better players. But yeah, so anyways, so I thought you could have been a little bit better at getting your own shots here early, and then you were a little bit too risky late, and then you should have left. You know, once this lane fell, you should have left. You had time in order to get out there and come back here, and then you could have basically made another stand a little bit further back. The Tiger 2 wasn't going to be able to make it out because he's too slow, but in a 704, you're fast enough where you could have potentially made it out there. So I'm gonna guess that you get capped out here. Lol. Oh, very sad. But if we look at the stats, let's see. T-54 did like 2k damage. That was all late game. This was all late game. You didn't get a whole lot out of your side. You had some guys push forward. The IS-2 pushed forward, which you needed. The T-34 pushed forward, which is what you needed. Yeah, it's unfortunate. At least you went 11 for 11, although I think you bounced on an IS-3 twice. But overall, I mean, pretty good game. Just work on recognizing when you've lost every tank or when you're about to lose every tank in front of you, and if you're in a fast enough tank to run, just run. But otherwise, GG. Alright, that game is from 9.5. Oh, here's one from 9.6. Apparently we need to allow people to play 9.6 a little bit longer so that they can get more 9.6 replays. Okay, this is IS-8 on Airfield. Or maybe not. Ah, there we go. Alright, top tier, couple big artillery. Boom, boom. You've got a slightly campier comp. About the same amount of armor on both sides. Yeah, you pretty much have to go into this area because you're the only tank really with armor. You can play this side if you want. Usually at least one artillery. If you've got 3 in a game, usually at least one will go out here, which makes this side difficult to play. But you could play on this side and see what happens. You can theoretically play middle, but I don't like playing middle when I'm the only armor because I really feel like then anybody who's over here that has armor, like this E75 could just bully over here. Okay, and as always, you look to see what your team is doing. They're all driving around the cap, which is not good. Looks like most of them are going to play this south area. You got this T-34 coming up here, and maybe this other heavy coming to help you. You got 2 guys behind, and so these guys back here, they really only have one shooting lane. That's through this area right here. That's the only real shooting lane that they have. So that's something to keep in mind when you look at like this configuration. So you got a T-34 and a Black Prince. The Black Prince probably not going to contribute a whole lot. And so you can go up on this side, it's fine. Just what I do is angle sharp early and then turn this way. Turn to your left right there so that if they have a fast tank coming in, your side armor isn't facing them. Usually when you get lit like that, it means the back of your tank was lit as you went up. You do want to peek out here to see what's coming though. You can angle your armor so that you don't stick your drive wheel out and so you can see what comes up here. Because you need some intel. You can't just do this blind. It's going to be really difficult otherwise. There's nothing that can possibly be over there. So they've got a couple guys underneath down low. You still need to peek this area right here just to see what's there. And again, you can do it safely by going out to this left side a little bit and then coming around, bringing your front of your armor towards them. There you go. Almost what you're doing, except you're looking at that guy over there. Like that Tiger Pete, completely inconsequential. Good job. But again, you see what I'm saying? See how your drive wheel was stuck out there? So if that Panther 88 just turned a snapshot to you, he could track you there. Now there's an STA crossing. You should try to get a shot on this guy if you can. Their E75 is pushing in. So now don't worry about the STA. Once the STA gets into position, don't worry about him. Just let him sit there. Let your guys on the northwest deal with him. You're more concerned about this guy that's going to be killing your T-34. So you see how you're fixated on this STA when you could have shot this T-34 right there? The STA is not what's killing your team right now. He's an annoyance, but he's not an annoyance really that you can deal with that well. So just if the STA wants to shoot you, let him shoot you. You deal with these other guys. Don't push forward. The more that you push forward, the more that you expose your hull. The further back you are, the more that they only have turret to shoot at. Go ahead and shoot the crown. And again, remember, that's the alley that these guys can shoot through. Be careful. Backing up is not necessarily good. Backing up is not necessarily going to save you because there's a lot of crap on this outside here. And you can still be hit by artillery. And artillery is still a huge threat to you because they still have 3 really large artillery, so you don't want to mess around with that too much. And so you've sacrificed this area here to a T-34. You've basically let a Tier 8 premium bully you out of your position. And now you're in a position that's not artillery safe. And it's going to take you 2 shots to kill this guy, which is going to be an issue. Yeah, so now you're in a position where they're going to start to be able to encompass you. So you want to try to back up and clear out, go back up here, kill this T-34, right? You can go up through this little ramp over, let's see, well, you can go up through a different one. I think you can go up through, oh, it looks, maybe they changed it. Anyways, you can go up right here, definitely. I thought you could go up right here, but now that I look at it, it doesn't really look like you can. You want to counter push through here. See how all their guys are over on this side? This T-34 is ISO'd right now. He's all by himself. There's nothing covering him. And if you go over there, your artillery is safe as well. So that AT is down, but this T-34 is proxying you. That's fine. At this point, just let this JP-2 kill him. You don't need to turn your gun that way. Your gun should be facing this way in case anybody pushes around on this side. Because you're not really worried about somebody mysteriously appearing. Oh man, then JP-2 wasn't able to get him. And then remember that you're lit because you were proxying, or being proxied while you were proxying the T-34. So that PTA is going to be on your right. He's full health. He's going to be tough. I still really feel like you can go through here and bully these guys. Like for the past minute and a half or so, you've basically been driving around like a glorified scout. And you've been kind of spotting people by proxy, and you haven't really been moving to use your armor or your gun. You are a Tier 9 heavy in a Tier 9 game. Bully, bully, bully. And especially like if a guy like that's not facing you, take your time and make sure that you kill him.
It's a trap!
And then what you want to do is you want to push up over here as far as you can, because that's what's going to get you safe. That's fine. Just keep going. Well, it'll look like a little bit of packet loss or something there. Yeah, so I think the major thing was falling off of here. You could have held that position a lot stronger, particularly against just a T-34 that's pushing you there. These guys that were in the back weren't going to be able to pen you from, as long as you were back there, they were going to be hard pressed to pen you without hatching your turret. Whereas you could have had, you know, relatively easy shots on it. At that point, it was a T-34 and the Dicker Max that tried to drive across down there. The E-75 was down there as well, but he wasn't really poking in that much. position. I don't really think that he was really that effective anyways in terms of his shooting. And then the T-34 that rushed you, and then you basically allowed that T-34 to push you from your safe position down here to a position where you can get artied, where you can get shot by these other tanks, by the Leo. And then what you did was a little bit too much cowering. You should have gone back, and especially once they started splitting up, right? So you can make the argument that, oh, well, they were pushing a lot of guys through here really strong, so that's why I fell off. And that's fine. But then the same argument would apply to the fact that they split up, right? The T-34 that was over here was ISO. This other T-34 was over here. The T-44 went back up here. The other guy that was down here started going back down this way, right? So there were these pockets that you could have bullied. And then again, you always want to think about when there's a large number of artillery in the game, where you can go where you're artillery safe. You were artillery safe there, you were artillery safe when you moved over there. You could have gone back up through the ramp here and gone and killed this T-34 and then maybe pushed around through the back of the T-44. And that would have saved you the damage of, you know, when you tried to poke over here to shoot the VK and the Leo shot you in the back and things like that. But otherwise, I mean, the other thing is, in early game, I felt like you should have checked this lane to see people coming there, particularly if you're in a high armor tank. You want to have like an east-west orientation for your armor, and then just peek out here, and you can get a lot of free shots there as people are coming up that ramp, especially if you're in a faster heavy like an IS-8, which you know is going to beat the E-75 to the position, so you'll be there before the E-75. So almost anything that you'll see will be lower tier, and that could have gotten you an extra shot or two of damage there, and at least would have given you some intel about what was up here. Oops, sorry, I forgot I didn't have the mini-map up for that. Let's do that again. So as I was saying, when you in the early game, when you came to this orientation right here, you could have gone east-west with your armor and fired into this lane right here and been relatively safe, was my whole point. Okay, now let's look at the stats. Alright, so your team actually didn't really do that poorly. The Tortoise did a lot better than I thought he would for playing that south middle area. Usually a non-turreted tank destroyer will struggle in that type of area. But yeah, you didn't have a whole lot of support on your side, which is why it was important to kind of get some intel about what they were doing. Overall, your shot efficiency probably could have been better. You took a bad shot on that VK. Trying to think of what other shots were not so good. Yeah, I think he fixated a little bit too much on that STA-1 when he was over on that north side. I really felt like he was the least of your concerns, because your T-34 that went up there with you was getting killed not by their STA but by their dudes that were just poking around that you could have shot, like the T-34 down low, the E-75 down low, and to a lesser extent the T-34 that was behind him. But nice try. GG. Yeah, you guys need to relax and chat a little bit. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you do need to push out, but like in that situation, right, in that particular dispersion where he was stuck up on the ledge and he had basically a T-34 with him, and that was it. The Black Prince kind of pushed forward and got himself killed, but I mean, that happens. He's a tier 7. He's not going to be able to protect you from all that. So sometimes you just, when you're on the weak side, you just need to play smart and make yourself small.